Welcome to SorWil Solutions, where we talk about what's going on in our community. I'm Joe Wilson, CEO of SorWil Technology Solutions. I'm here with Kathryn Hancock, our marketing director, and today our special guest is City Councilman as well as school board member Kerry Brungardt. Thank you, sir, very much for being here today.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
We are so excited to have you here. There are so many things that you're involved in. I hear a lot of people in the community say very good things about you. We also happen to have a former student of yours here. So this was what I thought would be really exciting to kind of just dive into the things that you do and the things that you've experienced in our community.
Besides being principal, school board member, city councilman, what else can you tell us about yourself?
Well, I figured it up. I've been in the community since 1988. And if my math is right, that would be 37 years.
Ooh.
So, yeah, my wife and I moved to the community in 1988 and just was lucky enough in 1991. I was hired as an assistant principal at Lansing Middle School. Happened to live in the community, so I didn't have to make a move. It was, and I served in that capacity 31 years. I am from Western Kansas, grew up on a farm. I don't know how deep you want me to go. Graduated from Benedictine College in Atchison, was a teacher at Fort Leavenworth.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yes, at MacArthur Elementary. I taught sixth grade for eight years and worked on my master's degree. Always wanted to be a principal. I felt that's how you really make the most change in a school district. Starts at the local building level, and that's where the excitement is. And I love middle school kids, and a lot of people say, "How do you do it?" And they energize me. They made me laugh. I mean, I got some gray hairs over the years too, but they're fun. And Lansing is just such a good place to work. And parents were supportive, and we did some really awesome things while I was at the middle school.
Middle school seems to be, from what I hear, and my daughter-in-law is a teacher, or she was a teacher in Leavenworth last year. She'll be a teacher at Piper this year. But talking to different teachers, middle school seems to be the most difficult group to cultivate. They're not quite teenagers yet. They're still they're still young. So it's a very awkward stage. It's very difficult. I've heard it's like herding cats. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, yes, for the most part. I will tell you, my opinion has always been that middle school was really the last place where we could really, what I call, save that kid. You know, kids that were falling between the cracks. We did a really good job of identifying those kids and making every attempt to get them ready for high school and beyond. It is true. I would show, when I met with the parents at open house, I had you might remember this, but I would have a PowerPoint, and on the PowerPoint, I would say, your kid's going to come to you in the middle school, and they're going to all of a sudden not need you as much, and they're going to pull away, and you're going to notice all these changes to include hormonal changes, and then I would put, it's not our fault. It's just the nature of the beast. And I always felt the sorriest for parents who had middle school daughters, because 7th and 8th grade, one of those grades, for most of those girls, that one of those grades ended up being pretty tough for them. And it's just the way it is. So we tried to have many things in place to support them during this time. So,
did you agree with that, Kathryn?
Yeah, I would say that.
Was it 7th or 8th grade for you?
It was probably 8th grade. And I actually wasn't even at Lansing in 8th grade. I transferred there a year later because it was so difficult at Leavenworth.
The drama.
It was a lot of drama.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the drama and the rumors and trying to get kids not to respond and not fall into the traps. That was the boys just would, as much as I didn't like it, they get into a fight. It's a middle school fight. They wanted you to break it up,
Yeah.
and they weren't really interested in fighting. And then it was over. It was over, and the drama stopped. The girls, man, it could start in 7th grade and carry through 8th grade. So,
But it's even more difficult now with social media. When you and I were kids, and there's probably 10 years difference between us, but we could go home at the end of the day and be done with it until the next day.
sure.
But now you don't ever get away from it because social media is always there, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat.
Yeah.
People are always, if they're on your case, they're always on your case until the next day. It doesn't go away. That was some of the problems that you had in middle school.
Yeah, and looking back now, I'm glad it wasn't as advanced as it is now because it was difficult just having Facebook.
Do you remember a program that we did called Challenge Day?
Yes, but I wasn't there for that day.
You weren't.
But I heard one of the most impactful
it was
days.
a program that we implemented at the middle school, and it was at a parent on my site council saw it on Oprah Winfrey show, and it was around 2008, 2009, and we investigated and we fundraised. It was a lot of money to bring them in and meet with your school, but man, it was transformational for our kids. And at first we did it when they were 8th graders, and we soon changed it and we did it toward the end of their 8th grade year. And we implemented it for 8th graders at the very beginning of the year. And the effects that it had on the kids was just unbelievable. And the whole program was appreciating the differences that you had with each other, but it also taught you to really look at maybe the life that kid is leading. And they would discover things through conversation about maybe things that were going on in their life. And I'll never forget my small group. I had a kid. Now, mind you, how this made me feel.
Sure.
So the kid had been dealing with this from the middle of his 7th grade year, and it's the start of his 8th grade year. And they did this activity that said, if you knew me, you would know. And they go around. Small group. So I had my group. I was one of the facilitators. And he says, if you would know me, you would know that my mom has stage 4 cancer, and it's really been tough on my family, and my mom can't work anymore. And he just went into all the things that are happening because the fact that his mom has cancer. We didn't have a clue. I mean, kid was quiet, did his thing. Man, we were able to support that young man. And that's just one of the many stories.
Yeah, there were so many.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of people went home like crying that day. It was so deep.
They did. And the drama from my 8th grade, it just lessened. It was, and parents were always afraid. One of the things we got about that program was they were really worried that they would share things out. And that never happened. Those kids were so respectful. What stays in Vegas stays in Vegas. Our motto was, what happens in Challenge Day stays in Challenge Day.
Wow.
You talk to your parents about it, but everybody else, need to keep that.
That kind of leads us into kind of an interesting, and this wasn't what I intended to talk about today. So it's kind of interesting. We spoke with Kellen Adams a couple of months ago. And I have a 14-year-old at home that we adopted who has a number of developmental challenges, ADHD, ODD. And so finding resources for him is difficult. Trying to work with the school, and he's in Leavenworth school system, has been a challenge. parents expect the school system to provide mental health services to some extent. And it's really not what the schools are designed to do. And they don't really have the resources. I mean, you guys were resource challenged in the past, or even more resource challenged now by what's going on in the education world. How does a school manage to do that? And maybe this is from a school board view, maybe it's from a principal view. How do you handle students that need that extra care?
I felt as a principal and as a building, and this wasn't me. This
Mhm.
was a group
Sure.
effort. So this wasn't Kerry Brungardt. This was a team effort. I thought the middle school really excelled at developing programs for kids that needed the extra help, that we went above and beyond in trying to develop a program for them that would benefit them in the best possible way. That wasn't always easy because you are limited on resources, you are limited on times. If they have an IEP, you have to follow that IEP to the letter of the law. But you can also, we learned that there were resources out there that we could refer parents to. And if we could pull strings, get them seen earlier or whatever, we tried to do that. A lot of it is, I'll tell you what, my special ed kids, my special education kids, my kids that had challenges, that's what really motivated me as a principal. And it was even before my own son, who is
Mhm.
autistic. That just motivated me more.
Sure.
Um, you know, I looked at my own son and I felt like my hands were tied. And I worked in the district and I was an educator and I knew the system. And you just have to dig deep. And what I would tell parents is, here's what we can do at school. Here's what services are out there for you to go get. And the services may not be here, especially if there was a cost attached. It was going to be, expensive.
Mhm.
We would send parents to Lawrence because I had a social worker who was a social worker in Lawrence,
Mhm.
and she was able to talk to therapists or advocates that lived in Lawrence, worked in Lawrence, and would do it pro bono. So it was a pretty cool thing.
Do you think your decisions as an assistant principal affect how you are on the school board?
Absolutely. Yeah. I was probably a little too much TMI, but I'm a really driven person. And so that's really good in a lot of ways. But I will tell you, it has its drawbacks because I would wake up at night and I learned that if I wrote it down, then I could go back to sleep. So, but I would think of kids that I were worried about, and then I would think about it during the night, and it's weird, but I would have an idea come to fruition, and then I would wake up and I would write it down on my little notepad, go back to sleep, and then I had that the next morning. Work for me. So, yeah, I mean, I think it made me a better person. I think one of the things that I am is incredibly empathetic. And I am a person that really wants to help people. That just drives me in my life. I'm a caretaker for my son. Uh, I was a caretaker for my wife the last 20 months of her life. So it's just kind of who I am.
How long have you been on the school board now?
Uh, well, feels like maybe 10 years, but it's only been about 2 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I came on in January of 24, so it's a year and a half actually.
Okay, I didn't realize it hadn't.
Yeah.
I thought it was much
Yeah.
longer. You were on the city council for much longer, over 15 years.
Yeah, since 2009.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's start with the council.
Okay.
What drove you to run for city council?
I was looking, I know this sounds kind of trite, but I was really looking to give back to the community that I think has given me so much.
Sure.
And has been so good to me and my family. So I thought I'd like to run for city council. And I did in 2009, lucky enough to win. And that's what drove me to be on the city council.
So now you're on the city council for over 15 years. That's a lot of work. But then you said, that's not enough. I need to do more. And you ran for school board?
I did.
That's got to fill your plate up.
Yeah, my plate is full. I retired in 2021, January 2021. And I don't have many days where I don't have something to do. And what I mean to do, I usually have a lot to do.
Wow.
So, yeah, but I'm not a sit around type of guy. So, like being busy. It is really important to me that I am, that I do good, that I'm not just using good oxygen and not serving people like I could. So, and I've been blessed in so many ways. So, I need to appreciate those blessings.
What keeps you motivated?
Well, at city council, I'll tell you, can I kind of set the scene for city council?
Please, yeah.
So when I came on to city council, it was like nothing I'd ever experienced before. Like they have as many acronyms, maybe more than education. So that was, I was constantly looking up acronyms, making notes so I would learn what things meant. And, really the first 6 months, I did a lot of listening, asked a lot of questions. So what I've always appreciated about the city council is we are of varying political beliefs. We are from liberal to very, very conservative, but that doesn't matter. And our political beliefs, our political ideology, our egos, we leave them at the door. And then we do business based on what we think is best for the citizens of Lansing. And we disagree. We get into heated arguments from time to time, but we also get over it. No grudges. And the city council, that's really where I learned to do more listening than talking. And I started to appreciate varying opinions and maybe a total polar opposite opinion than what I had.
Do you think that politics at the local level has gotten more divisive?
Oh my goodness, yes. And so far at the city council, we've really managed to keep that at bay. And it's been very different with the school board. And please know, everybody that's listening to this, this is my opinion only. So
there's been another number of topics that have come to the school board level. One of the things that I think I've heard in the past is that teachers don't feel quite as supported by their school board. They feel like the school board is almost the enemy and they have to justify teaching. I think I was having a conversation with one of our elected officials, and this notion that teachers are indoctrinating our kids. But that's not what's happening. Teachers don't become teachers so they can indoctrinate kids. They start out with wanting to do good. And so what I think people often don't see is the opportunity that some of these kids, the only safe place they have is that teacher. And so they can't talk about these issues at home because they fear judgment, they fear retribution, um, they feel cast aside possibly by their parents. And so a lot of times the only person they have to talk to is a trusted teacher. Would you say that's fair?
Yes, there. I have yet to see indoctrination at Lansing High School, Lansing Middle School, or any school in USD 469. So this whole idea that that's what teachers are doing to our kids is absurd in my mind. I worked in this district. I can't honestly. I thought, anytime did we indoctrinate? I mean, we tried to teach kids to be good citizens. We tried to get them to listen to varying points of view, but we were always very careful to say, like, if we had a mock election for when it was a presidential election, kids would vote. They would maybe talk about it in classrooms, varying points of view. But that was always managed, in my mind, beautifully by our teachers because, and honestly, the teachers were so very, very careful about, not giving away who their candidate was. Kids might figure it out,
I never knew.
Yeah.
Never knew.
But but they would play devil's advocate with the kids. And sometimes that's misconstrued as well. Then you're a Republican or you're a Democrat. And that wasn't what we were trying to do. It was talking about our political process and how we do things. I am told since post-COVID that there has been an uptick in parents that just really show lack of respect for teachers, don't trust teachers. There's this whole idea of indoctrination. And honestly, I feel like a lot of these things it's an attempt to almost defund public education, take it down. And, you can talk about, you can talk about a test score, our state assessment scores. We're above the state average, in some cases, well above. Yet we still have people out there talking about, really how ineffective our teachers are and our kids aren't learning, and nothing could be further from the truth. It's one test. I can't get people to understand. I try to get the word out. Maybe this will help. In 2015, the state of Kansas went to a whole different, I believe is round about that time, switched up what we were doing with our state assessments. So the state assessment before was the No Child Left Behind, George W. Bush, that during his term as president. It was a very narrow state assessment, and we did extremely well. Standard of excellence. We had our banners and everything. Little secret, we use it as far as really how we felt kids were learning, grasping the concepts that we wanted them to understand, the standards that we wanted them to understand. We didn't rely on it because we thought it was very narrow, and quite frankly, we thought it was a pretty easy test. But we looked good. And everybody thought, oh my goodness gracious, Lansing is a great place because of our kids are so smart, and look how well they did in state assessment. When we were looking at other factors.
State basketball champions.
Well, yeah, but academically,
Yeah.
you triangulate your data. So we were looking at state assessments, our own assessments that the teachers developed, and then a national assessment, which was at that time we did the MAP score, and we got far more data from that MAP score. So I just want to tell people, so overnight, our kids just suddenly, kids in Lansing are now dumb. They, that's absurd. That's an absurd way of thinking. And I don't know. Maybe there is. Somebody listens to this and they want to spar with me. I'm sure there'll be those people. I don't know of anybody in the state of Kansas right now that has 75% of their students in their district at the what is considered to be college and career ready, which means you have to get a 3 or a 4 on the state assessment. And the belief is that if you get a 2, they're trying to say, well, you can't go to college. We've had lots of kids that have had a 2 on the state assessment, have gone on to college, 4-year institutions, or they've gone on to trade schools or whatever and did quite well. So the whole idea that we get hung up and our kids are, crashing and, we don't have smart kids in Lansing or in the state of Kansas is just not true.
One of the things that the school board is, and from my understanding, and so please correct me if I'm wrong, is you're charged with deciding what the curriculum is for the school year. Is that true or is that not true?
Well, I guess, yes, we are. We give the final blessing. Yeah. And my vote always goes with, unless it's just something I can't live with, you've got experts that were trained in developing the curriculum. We're developing our local curriculum off what the state standards are. So we're not inventing the wheel. We're just making it fit for us.
Sure.
And so, yes, if our people in the KSDE and the experts is what I would call them, the people that have been trained, I'm going to put a lot of trust in them. And, so, yeah. But yes, we give the final blessing, so to speak.
There's so much I could say.
But we should not be, it's not our job to go out and develop the curriculum. It's not our job to sit in those meetings and give input. It certainly is our job when we get it to read it, to give our thoughts, and then vote on it. Now, if it's illegal, immoral, of course I would vote against it. But I've just never found that to be the case.
How many of the school board members have ever been a principal, a teacher?
Well, I'm the only one, and that doesn't make me an expert because
but it's a little bit different.
Yeah,
you see different sides of it.
Yeah, Kathryn, I've got insight that other people don't have. Certainly, I have insight that they don't have. That does not make me an expert on the school board. And
even Bolin wasn't his wife a teacher, or no?
I don't believe so. No. She works in the district, but
okay.
No. Great person, very bright, great kids. Yeah.
Many parents are concerned about transparency and communication from the district. How can the board improve that?
Short answer is you just listen to people and you make yourself available. And if they have something that they're not happy about, we have a system in place. And I am glad to listen to somebody, but the first thing I do is I will ask them, have you followed the chain of command? So chain of command when I was principal was, have you talked to the teacher? And then you talk to the principal, you go to the superintendent. If it hasn't been solved at that point, you're trying to solve at the lowest possible level. And it was my experience that 99 point some % of issues were handled at the building level. So maybe it goes to the teacher, they're upset, and then it would end up on my desk. Usually that's where it stopped. We were able to solve the issue, come to a compromise, so to speak.
As we look, one of the things that I've heard, once again, please correct me if this is incorrect, is that Lansing has been revenue neutral in the past in the school board. And one of the issues that has stemmed from that is there's been some issues with deferred maintenance. Is that true?
Well, I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. Deferred maintenance issues really, again, my opinion, but really started during the Brownback years. And those were very, very lean years. Money was hard to come by. And we just didn't have money to do those things. And in the state of Kansas, now that's caught up with us. And so many districts are trying to pass bonds for maintenance issues that weren't taken care of, that could not be taken care of because they just didn't have the money. Right now, I mean, revenue neutral, we've been able to do that at the city 2 years in a row. Now, the last 2 years, I believe this year also we will have a flat rate. We've been really, the reason we've been able to do that is out of COVID. If anything positive happened, and I don't know, I would trade it to not have to go through that, certainly. But we got a large amount of ARPA money that we were able to, that really helped us, and that kept us from having to raise the mill. So we were able to go revenue neutral, and I could do it with a clear conscience. I don't believe that's the case with our school district. And Lansing used to be one of the top paying districts in the state. That is no longer the case. We used to be ahead of Leavenworth, Piper, Tongi, Baser, and now we're behind all those.
Wow.
Quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure Leavenworth's, their base salary is $51,000. Baser's is close to 48, 47, high 47s. Piper's at 53, and we sit at 45.
Oh, wow.
So it's hard to get teachers to come here, especially if they've got an opportunity to make $8,000 more fresh out of college. I mean, it would be a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
Plus, they're good districts.
But outside of just the pay,
Yes,
it's hard to be a teacher now.
It is.
I mean, if
Excruciatingly hard.
parents often side with the students, I think growing up, if a teacher would have said something, my parents would have questioned me far more and sided with the teacher even before speaking to the issue. And now parents are, they're attacking the teachers when their child doesn't do well and don't take any responsibility, because as a parent, we also have a responsibility to make sure our children do well, to follow up, to make sure they're doing. It's not send them to school and let the teachers manage them and not take any responsibility.
My kids would come home and they were like any other kids, but especially my oldest son. It was old. He would say something to me, and this teacher's crazy or whatever, and I would look at him and I would say, "Oh, I know you're a victim.
Yeah.
You are a victim, Nick. I mean, the world is out to get you." And I just knew that was a crock. I didn't take stock in it. There were a couple times I actually believed him, did some investigating. We solved the issue. It didn't have to become a big deal.
But you work together.
Yes, work together, and it didn't have to be adversarial. And when it was over, it was over. And that's just kind of the way I like to do business. Now, I will say, I have to say, I always thought our Lansing parents were outstanding for the most part. The trouble is, it doesn't take very many parents to resist and not handle themselves the way they need to handle themselves, and just take the kid at face value, what they said is to be true, and make comments like my kids never lie. How blessed you are, because my boys, if it meant saving their tail, man, they were going to and they could get by with it, they were going to lie.
Amen.
I mean, I was the same way. I think, sorry, that's my belief. That's the way most kids are. So that doesn't mean they're bad people. Vast majority of our parents still are good parents, very supportive of our system.
I still think social media has so much to do with it.
Yeah, I would agree. And now what really frustrates me is when a teacher, they might find something on Facebook and they'll make the decision that what that teacher was wearing was risque.
I saw a post just like that.
And then they attack that teacher. Now, thankfully, we still have level-headed people out there that said, that's none of your business. It was off school time.
Yep.
She, you're at the lake, you're usually in a swimsuit, and what's, wrong with that? Social media has ramped up things, and if used for good, it can be such an incredibly powerful tool. And if used for bad, it can really damage people's reputation.
Well, we don't have to post everything. So this is the problem that I have with social media is everybody feels like they have to post everything. Everybody is a foodie that's got to post what they're eating. Everybody's got to take the glamour shots of themselves. They've got to post everything that they're doing so that everybody knows what's going on, which first is very risky because if somebody is stalking you, if somebody is looking to steal your identity, it's all out there for them to get.
I've never understood people putting their vacation while they're on vacation. You're just setting yourself up to get your house robbed. That's just me. A lot of people do it. I know people that post all the time, and I would go, I would never put that. I wouldn't put that. I wouldn't put that. There's very few things in life that I can say are 100% fact or that I can predict. I'm pretty sure that you will never find a glamour shot of this ugly mug on Facebook. It's just not going to happen.
But what I'm getting at is in certain jobs, like when I was in law enforcement, social media was very monitored. It was discouraged. And, what was posted reflected on where you were at. Is that not the same for the teachers? When we're talking about teachers who wore something risque and being judged for it, don't they have a responsibility to maintain a certain presence and a certain image for the school district?
You want that. And, but you really want to be careful when you're talking about dress code and what is considered risque for one person and in this day and age. I mean, but again,
their personal time is not your business.
Yeah, 99% of the time, that's just not going to. It's what the post that I think you're talking about, that was an issue for a few people. And what impressed me so much with that was the number of people that came out in favor and defending this person and talking about how great of a teacher she was and the relationship she builds with her parents and her kids. And honest to God, I did not, I'm pretty conservative like that way in some ways. And if I didn't find an issue with it, I was like, holy cow, you're really
just digging for an issue.
Yeah. I just felt like there was another issue at play here that I wonder, is this really the issue or we got something else going on that you're angry about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're going to shift gears now.
All right.
We're going to go to a little bit lighter topic. We're going to learn a little bit more about who Kerry Brungardt is and some of your personal views on things. Kathryn and I, we've got 10 questions here.
Okay.
Kathryn's going to...
Is this like a rapid fire thing?
It's our rapid fire with Kerry Brungardt. It's our new segment.
Okay.
We used to do what was on your mind, and then it kind of got awkward. And so Kathryn's going to take the odd numbers. I'll take the even numbers.
Okay.
You can pick between 1 and 10. And what that number is, we'll ask that question. You got 4 of those, and then we pick the 5th question.
Okay, I don't care what you ask.
Pick a number.
5.
5.
Favorite local restaurant or go-to meal in town?
La Coretta or La Mesa. I try to go to both. Yes.
Is that because you feel like you have to stay in Lansing business?
You know, I really try to. Yes, I
Eat
do.
local.
I do. I do. I feel a little guilty when I go when I go someplace else.
Okay.
Leavenworth, I still feel like I'm doing my duty. So.
Okay. Next number.
4.
Number 4. When you're not working, where are you most likely to be on a Saturday afternoon?
Well, if it's in the fall, I'm at a KU football game.
Okay.
And if it's in the winter, I'm at a KU basketball game.
Okay.
And if it's in the spring, I might be at a KU baseball game.
Nice.
Rock chalk.
Rock chalk. No Chiefs games though.
I will go to a Chiefs game if I am given tickets. I love the Chiefs and I root for them, but holy cow, that is $80 for parking. I mean, a weekend could cost you $1,000. I'm like,
Sure.
man, so that's my line in the sand. I'm just not going to do that.
If the Chiefs ended up in Wyandotte County,
oh Lord,
would you go to games there?
Yeah, that might be a game changer. Honestly, that would be a game changer. Yeah.
All right, next number.
1.
What do you love most about Lansing?
The people for sure. I like the small town environment. As a principal, I felt like I had no anonymity. And what I've found is that was kind of cool that everybody knew me. You know what I mean? So I kind of miss going to Dillon's or Aldi's and not having young kids know who I was, or, so now those kids just keep getting older and older, and they're in their 20s. So I've been out 5 years and that just doesn't seem possible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Next number.
Let's go 10.
10. One word you hope people use to describe you.
I had only one.
One or two.
Okay. Empathetic, loyal.
Okay.
Nice.
And I've been told I'm actually loyal to a fault.
I've heard said about me as well.
Yeah. I sometimes I need to know when to give in.
Sure.
Yeah, because so it gets me in trouble sometimes.
All right, Kathryn, you asked the last question.
I did it last time. You do it.
All right. Biggest guilty pleasure for you, TV show or a movie?
Oh, it probably would be a series.
Okay.
And I was really shocked that I liked it. But I'm going to give you 2 again. Downton Abbey.
Okay.
And The Crown.
Okay.
And that was so off my radar as something that I thought I would like. And it sucked me in like a soap opera. And yeah, it's like I used to be with Young and the Restless when I was in college. 10 of my buddies, we'd meet every day at 11 o'clock, watch Young and the Restless. And, probably shouldn't have said that because it's not something I'm proud of. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
This has been a lot of fun. It's good to get to know you, see you outside of what you do. Thank you for everything you do for both of our communities, for all the service that you give. I don't know that people understand how difficult and thankless a job it can be. And you're doing city council and school board. And sometimes I think it feels like you're making more enemies than friends.
I feel that way. You certainly don't. I don't get a lot of email or phone calls that say, "Thank you, Kerry. Really appreciate your service." It's usually a complaint, but that goes with it. I knew that going into it, so I went in with my eyes open.
Kind of like that being in technology. Nobody ever calls you when their computer's working fine.
Yeah.
Only when they have a problem.
Yeah.
That's this week's episode of SorWil Solutions. We look forward to next week when we have Karen Overby from the Leavenworth School Board on with us. And we'll get another view from another school board. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Absolutely.